What is up, everybody? Benoit here. Welcome to the Tactical Fellowship. The purpose of today's video is to show you my BCM PDW. It is the gun that I always want to shoot, and it's also the gun that I keep on the ready for castle defense. It's a crazy mix of some of my most favorite parts, so I can't wait to walk you through this build. Before we get to that though, how about you go ahead and stick your thumb up YouTube's anti-gun loving hole by liking and subscribing. Guys, if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be amazing. Let's try to get Tactical Fellowship to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Man, that would be amazing, and I would deeply appreciate the support. Speaking of support, I need to give a massive shout out to Brownells, the biggest supporter of the channel. Thanks for sending me all you did for this build, all of which lives on the kit page, link above and below. So before this video ends, be sure to check it out because I won't have time to go through every part on this before the video ends. So if you see something that I don't mention, go to the kit page, check it out, and to taco bet. 300 Blackout grants you AK kinship. All right, so why would you want to build something like this, and why do I always love shooting this gun? Well, you build something like this because you want something extremely little and well balanced. You want something that maneuvers like a dream, the right weight for weary arms. Weary old arms like mine. You want something short. So if you're doing something like castle defense, length matters. Matter of fact, when I present with my handgun, that total length is only a couple inches less than when I'm presenting with this BCM PDW. So about the same length of presentation as a handgun, but so much more because I'm shooting full power, 125 grain full metal jacket, sizzling at 2050 FPS. Lastly, and maybe this is a reason just for me, but I grew up living just a couple miles away from BCM's headquarters in Heartland, Wisconsin. And so even though I live in Georgia now, BCM still kind of feels like home team for me, and I have been using their uppers for years, and I've never had an issue in all the years I've been shooting BCM uppers. All right, with that out of the way, let's dive into it, starting with the most important part. The BCM 9-inch 300 Blackout upper. As I mentioned previously, this is a full velocity build for me. I wanted zip, rifle velocity zip, and that can be yours out of a 9-inch barrel. A 9-inch barrel is a good partnership for a build like this because the powder burn is almost complete before it exits a 9-inch. So you don't want to go any shorter than that, but you're certainly getting all the bang for your buck from a 9-inch barrel. And this is a strong choice because these barrels were designed to run with high velocity ammo paired with an H3 buffer. The only thing I'd say here is don't buy the key mod version. The key mod version functions absolutely fine. It's just that there's fewer and fewer manufacturers making accessories that are key mod compatible for the rail system, and so because of that, I would actually send you to the M-LOK version. Final thought on the upper, BCM manufacturing is better than I will ever need or know how good I have it having one of these. Let's move over to the Surefire Warden Blast Diffuser because I know you're checking it out. Why do I have this on the gun? Well, the only reason I have it on here is that it keeps carbon off my light, especially because this is a small 8-inch rail on a very truncated length of gun. I am mounting my light way forward than I normally would because the real estate is so much less. So it's putting the flashlight bezel, even if not a little bit further than the muzzle device, which is going to coat it with carbon. So the Warden really does a great job here keeping crap off my light. The Surefire Warden, of course, partners with Surefire muzzle devices, and on this I'm using a Surefire 3-prong because the carbon a war comp throws out of its blowholes just accelerates that collar lockup, and anything I can do to decrease that's a good move in my book. Along with the upper, I'm also using BCM's bolt carrier. This is a working man's bolt bearing BCM's reputation. It comes with BCM's extractor spring upgrade kit, which is recommended when shooting suppressed. Speaking of which, if you're running subsonic, you are going to want to use a suppressor and start the journey with an H2 buffer to dial it in for good function. Covering the bolt is a Strike Industries aluminum ultimate dust cover. This just really has a refined attachment system, and the only reason why I wanted to mention this is that you do need to put a dab of blue Loctite on this ball bearing there. If you do not, you will cause yourself headaches and a bad day where the thing will screw up and then lock your dust cover from opening when the bolt comes back. So that's something I discovered years ago. Matter of fact, I think I'm the reason why they now put that disclaimer on their website, so be sure to put Loctite on there, and once you do, I haven't had any problems with it since. For the charging handle on this build, I went with the Geisley Super Duty charging handle. It's comfortable, it's ambi. Of all the handles out there, this is the one that I prefer. This is also one of the items that Brownell sent me, but I asked to have it sent to me because I use and like this handle, and I think you will too. Every gun needs a good pair of iron sights, and on this, I decided to go with ScalarWorks iron sights. You've got a Peak 01 fixed front, and then a Peak 02 folding rear iron sight in the back. These really are top-of-the-line sights, engineered for iron sight greatness. One thing that I really like is the rotating rear aperture on the folding sight in the back. It has this absolutely satisfying mechanical motion of like an optometrist flipping through lenses. If you've ever been gotten an eye exam, that's what it feels like when I flip this sight aperture. I love it. For control, I have a rail scales carve because on a pistol build, you can't do anything more than this. Moving on to the flashlight. Guys, I don't care. You can throw whatever flashlight you want in here, but I'll say two items I've really grown to appreciate on a build like this are Unity Tactical's mod button light. It basically is a recessed button with a small footprint, and it replaces Surefire's pressure pad, and once you do this, you'll never look back. Why? Well, because the footprint is just incredibly small, and it creates a recessed spot for the button to sit. It is a flashlight specific cable, so be sure on that, but it can be improved just slightly, which leads me to my second item, which is the HRF Concepts pressure pad shroud. This basically creates a mini mountain around the light's pressure pad switch to further decrease the chance of an accidental ND. For the optic on this, I'm using Trigicon's MRO and a hex cap by 100 Concepts. I just love the MRO. Massive window, easy knobs. I just love the MRO. How could you not like this thing? And throwing the hex cap on is really nice. It cuts down on the massive amount of glare that the big glass of the MRO creates. Also kind of tilted it a bit on this build because when I deployed the irons, the hex pattern was obfuscating the front post, so it was like covering up and I couldn't see it, so I just needed to move those hex lines out of the way so I could see my irons when deployed. You might want to do the same thing. The lower on here is an Aero Precision M4E1 lower. It's got a flared mag well. It's got slick lines. It's marked other for pistol builds. It partners well with the BCM upper. I immediately took out the OEM trigger and I put in LaRue's Tactical MBT2S trigger. This is an absolute superb two-stage trigger. I love this trigger. It really allows me to get better hits at distance, having a defined wall to push through. I think this trigger is an incredible value. I think it gives incredible performance. I will say though, I think it's a pretty light trigger. Keep that in mind. I also made an immediate control switch on this thing, which is of course the Radian 45-degree safety throw. This just reduces the amount of wrist flick required to disengage and re-engage the safety. I like this enough that I've installed this part on all my ARs. And of course I took off the OEM grip and I put a Magpul Mo K2 rubber overmolded grip on. This is way more comfortable actually than the original K2, so if you still have an old K2, I would suggest looking at and replacing it with the K2 Plus. I would get a nub rub on my knuckle with the grip, and I don't get that with the K2 Plus. Last thought with the K2 Plus, it has a steeper angle for a tighter gun. This really kind of allows you to just hold it more naturally if it's tucked in tighter to you, and it is nice, it does matter. To finish off this build, I put an SBA 5 brace on the back. Brownell sent me this for testing, and thank you for it. I actually really like this product. It's chunkier, it has a better cheek index, it has a firmer forearm platform than the SBA 3. The SBA 3 is like Splinter Cell, and the SBA 5 is like Gears of War. I think that's the best way to describe this part. And really guys, that's all I gotta say about this build. It is one of my most favorite guns to shoot. I just wish that 300 blackout ammo wasn't so dang expensive. Well guys, that's all I got. I hope this has been helpful to you. Be sure to check out that kit page for all your next steps concerning this build and everything else. And as always, ride fast, shoot straight, get off the couch and into some tactical fellowship. And we'll see you next time.